Hey everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Local Leaders of the Podcast. So there are several programs at Denham Springs High School I'm excited about that have been brought to us in the past several years. All of these in the form of electives: the Criminal Justice Program, the ROTC program, the Robotics program, and many others. None of them, however, are as exciting to me as the Student Broadcasting and Video Production program known as DSTV. Not only are video and editing production skills some of the most sought after skills in the job market today, but they're also some of the highest paying skills in the job market today. Of course, here at Local Leaders of Podcast, we have a vested interest in these producers and editors of tomorrow and are excited to welcome the guy across from me, Mr. Johnny Lombardi, who is teacher and instructor of this amazing program, to Local Leaders of Podcast. So first of all, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I am excited as well. And I'll tell you what, I've had an eye on your program for a little while, and for obvious reasons. I'm kind of in that wheelhouse, and I had the pleasure of meeting you at an event recently that you did at the STEM Center. And you were kind of showcasing all the things that y'all do at DSTV. I thought it was great. Y'all were taking pictures of people and editing them on site and using green screens and all that kind of stuff. So how was that success of that deal for you?
That was a really awesome event for us. So that's our second STEAM Expo at the STEM Center. Our first one was, I think, a week before COVID hit.
Oh,
wow. In 2020, we had our first STEAM Expo because that was our first year with the STEM Center.
Yeah.
Couldn't have it last year. And then so this year being able to have it back again was a really big deal. And then for our program to be able to, as we've grown in the last couple of years, be able to showcase that during the expo, having my students do some of the Photoshop work, the green screen cutouts, the graphics for the people who are coming through. It was a lot of fun. I feel like I didn't stop for about an hour and a half straight at one point. We just had kids coming with SD cards and cutting them out, and but it was really awesome to show those little kids, hey, here's how you do the green screen. Here's how you cut out on the green screen on Photoshop. Here's how you do a background, and seeing kind of their eyes light up and get excited. And that's the whole vision behind the expo, is really to get the younger kids hooked and interested in robotics,
100%.
Digital media, all those things.
Yeah, 100%. And it was a huge turnout at that thing. I mean, it was packed. You were back there, and man, you were moving fast. And so I guess before we get into all the great things y'all are doing with DSTV, I want to get a little background on you. You were born and raised where?
I was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, technically the western suburbs of Chicago. Yeah.
Okay,
Old
awesome.
Chi-town.
Yes. White Sox fan?
White Sox fan, yes.
Yeah, no Cubs. It's funny, when growing up here, they used to show the Cubs games all the time. And I was a Cubs fan growing up just because that was the only games you could get. And then the St. Louis Cardinals, they'd show them sometimes. But the Cubs, I liked them back in the day. But yeah, you're either a White Sox fan or a Cubs fan. Hey, Bo Jackson played for the White Sox.
There you go.
Right?
When I came down here for college, I was like, why are there so many Cubs fans in Baton Rouge and South? I was so confused until someone had to explain to me, well, WGN used to be the only thing that would broadcast down to New Orleans and to the area down here. So a lot of people got hooked on the Cubs, and their kids were then Cubs fans, their grandkids were Cubs fans. And so that was really interesting to me. Yes.
And so obviously you made your way down here to Cajun country, South Louisiana. First of all, was it culture shock to you? Chicago's a little different than Baton Rouge.
It's extremely different. Yeah. Major culture shock. But I do love it. I love it here.
Food's great, ain't it?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a big culture shock. Very different. Very I've been here for about 7-8 years now, so I feel like I've acclimated and it's about home now. So
that's right.
But at the beginning, it was quite different.
Very interesting. And we were talking off camera a little bit earlier. I'll let the listeners know about this, but obviously he has a last name Lombardi. Wisconsin, very close. He has family in Wisconsin and very close to Illinois. And so he was telling me, I said, man, I would have rode that last name all day long. All the free restaurants and eating I could get, whatever. But no relation.
No relation.
Unfortunately. All right. You're a sports fan?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I noticed
Die hard.
You do a lot with DSTV and sports, that's for sure. Your hike videos. Let's talk about those real quick. They're big time popular on Facebook.
They are, and they are a lot of fun. And so we'll probably get to this eventually, but my whole background is in sports throughout my life, throughout professional career. So that's kind of my bend. And so coming into DSTV, that was kind of like, all right, well, this is going to be our main focus just naturally.
Yes.
But also trying to have a vision of a holistic vision for the whole school. You know,
Right.
all of our other extracurriculars, theater, things like that. But sports does get a major push just because naturally there's a lot of sports, big sports people down here in South Louisiana,
That's right.
especially here in Denham Springs. You
Yeah.
just can't avoid it.
That's right.
But the hype videos, man, they have been a lot of fun to kind of produce those and do some of those myself. But even more fun than that is when my students are able to do those.
Yes.
For them to kind of learn and be able to have it click for them and do some on their own, which they've gotten better and better at growing and doing that. And then for me, just my passion and my love for doing it too. So kind of having best of both worlds has been great. But it's definitely kind of something that I didn't really anticipate being our bread and butter, I guess I would say, when I got hired. It was kind of, that wasn't really the vision.
Yeah.
And then that kind of turned into the thing that people did. I guess maybe LSU 2019 kind of changed a lot of that, with people anticipating hype videos for different things like that. And I had some students do a couple in 2019, that fall, 2020. That really wasn't my kind of background creatively. That kind of video making has never been my background until recently. And so I was like, well, this is something we got to kind of start to do and want to do, and people have loved them, and so they've been a lot of fun.
I get it. I see them all the time on Facebook getting shared and all that, and they are popular. Now let's talk about your background a little bit, because eventually you did make your way to Baton Rouge and to go to LSU.
Yes, sir.
And what led you there?
It really was the manship school.
Yeah.
So when I was in high school, back in Chicago, my freshman year, I remember we had a student who, when I was in 8th grade, he was a senior at our high school, and he came down to LSU from our TV program at my high school, came down to LSU to go to the manship school. And I think my sophomore year, he came back to kind of visit with some of the current video TV kids that we had, and I was one of those kids. And he brought a recruiter from LSU with him and handed out all the free stuff, free book, keychain, which I still have that keychain on my keys to this day.
It's amazing the swag you keep.
Exactly. Handed all this stuff, talked about LSU, talked about the manship school, and I was like, that's really neat. I'm never going to go to LSU. Why would I go to Louisiana?
Right.
But it always just kind of like hung around in my brain. My dad just was always like, I love LSU. I love Louisiana. Louisiana culture is great. I have no connection to LSU prior to living here. No family, nothing. I'm like, Dad, I'm not going to LSU. Like, come on, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, why would I go to LSU? And my senior year rolled around, and as kind of the options were shaking out, LSU looking more into the manship school and into LSU's athletics and the opportunities to do media through there. Financially, it just became more viable compared to Midwest schools. And it was kind of like, I think I might want to take a serious look at LSU. And my parents were like, all right, well, if we're going to be serious about this, we have to go visit. Like, you're not going to go without
we're
visiting.
not just going to say, all right, bye.
So my mom and I drove 14 hours.
Wow.
I think it was like February. I applied late. I applied in December. We drove down in February for a visit, and I fell in love with the campus, fell in love with the city, got to visit the manship school, and I was just like, this is where I want to be. Like, I want to come here and cover sports and do media, do broadcasting. And it was a big risk. It was scary. Had major homesick my first semester. It was rough first semester, getting acclimated. And, I didn't know a single person when I came down here. So having to make whole new friends, whole new community, figuring all that out. But it turned out great, and I wouldn't trade it. But yeah, it was rough. It was rough at the start for a little bit.
I can imagine, man. And you don't think about that, but you're right. You didn't have any friends down here. You were kind of going at it on your own. And shout out to you at, I would imagine, 18 years old. Just kind of making your way in the world and taking a chance, and it all worked out. And here you are, and you got this great thing going on in Livingston Parish that you probably never would have saw coming.
Never.
Right out of the gate, and just a great thing all around, not only for you but for us. So you graduated from LSU eventually, and you landed your way here at Livingston Parish at Denham Springs High School, where you are, I guess you'd say, the director, the teacher, the educator for DSTV. And let me ask you, I guess right out of the gate, was DSTV in existence before you started working there?
It was not.
It was not. So this was a program you kind of had from the beginning.
Yeah. So
wow.
Actually, to back up a little bit, when I graduated, I started working at Channel 9, WAFB.
Yes.
I interned there during college, and then I got hired right out of school as a morning show producer, and then I worked with sports department as a producer, reporter, Sportsline Friday night.
Yeah.
For years.
Jacques Doucet,
Steve Schneider. I love those. Got the two of my biggest mentors. Some of my best friends are still over there. I love Channel 9. But did love Sportsline Friday night, did that for years. And so that's where I worked actually for about 2.5, 3 years out of school, was at Channel 9, morning producer for about a year, and then stuff with sports for a couple years. And then at one point, I guess to stay on that, covered Denham Springs a lot through Sportsline Friday night and other different athletics that were at Denham. And through that work, I made relationship with Kelly Jones, who used to be the principal at Denham. And then other people around the football program and around the community, around the school, just made those relationships through Sportsline. Fast forward, I left WAFB, realized that didn't really want that broadcast life, the TV life.
Yeah.
As far as just the schedule, I loved my time there. It was great.
Schedule's tough.
Tough schedule, man. And just looking forward, it's just like I just don't want that. But love everyone there. It was a wonderful time. Went back home actually for a year. And that's where I kind of got into teaching. I was a special ed para at a local school that one of my neighbors was able to, hey, if you're thinking you may want to get into teaching, this is a good way to start. I kind of went home. It was like, I don't even know what I'm going to do. Teaching was kind of like a back burner thing where I was like, I could see myself maybe being a teacher. I had such a great experience at my high school and our video program that we had at my school. I was like, maybe, maybe someday I'd emulate something like that somewhere, and maybe I'd be good at that. And that kind of opportunity popped up while I was back home teaching. I contacted Kelly Jones about something about like, hey, how does teacher certification work in Louisiana? Because I was like, maybe I'll go back to Louisiana, Texas, like Illinois. I really kind of didn't know. And then he ended up contacting me. We went back and forth for a couple months, and then he reached out to me, I think in the spring, him and Mike Simmons, who's the director at the STEM Center now. And they're saying, hey, man, we're starting up this new STEM Center at Southside Elementary that flooded. We're redoing it for this new Denham Springs STEM and Robotics Center. And we have some of these kids at the high school who are really into video production and film. And we want to start a video production digital media program at Denham High. Would you be interested in coming down and teaching and leading and running that program? And so that's how that conversation started. And so that turned into kind of my vision of all right, let's make something DSTV, Denham Springs Television, and then we'll kind of work from there. And so that was the foundation of how that kind of all transpired. Going into that's the 2019-2020 school year was our first year.
Wow. And, it's we mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I guess it would be considered an elective.
Yes.
Obviously, it's not core curriculum, but a super important part of schooling that kids will actually enjoy. I mean, when I went to school, they didn't have all these elective programs that were that interesting. The great thing about your program is you can actually use that as a springboard into a career. I mean, these are things that are high-paying jobs when you get out in the world. If you can edit and you can use some of these programs, and trust me, I deal with them daily, and I had hair when I first started editing. Just kidding. But I mean, they're not. I'm
going to be gray soon. So
yeah, that's right. They're not easy. And so the earlier in life that you can pick those up, and I think one advantage that kids high school age right now have is everything is technical. Yep. So something that I didn't grow up with and I had to learn kind of by trial and error, it's almost secondhand to them. It's just a little bit easier for them to grasp. And that's where you come in. So I guess to start off some questions on DSTV, first of all, I want to bring up Buddy Mincy. Mm-hmm. So Buddy Mincy is obviously the state representative for this area, and he used to be he still is very involved in schools and in the school board atmosphere. And there's probably not a better promoter of Denham Springs, Livingston Parish schools in general than Buddy Mincy Jr. And Buddy Mincy Jr. is very well known for grabbing other representatives and senators and things like that and saying, hey, let's go to Livingston Parish and let me show y'all what's going on around here. Livingston Parish has not always been known for its exciting programs. This is something that I think kind of separates Livingston Parish and Denham Springs High School from, you know, how many high schools do you know of that have like STEM centers to the capabilities that we have, right?
Yeah.
How big are those programs for us?
It's amazing, and I think you say something really important. The support that we've gotten, DSTV and just the STEM Center, robotics in general, the support we've had from the school district of Livingston Parish has been unbelievable. The support, the encouragement, coming to visit us, coming to see us. Buddy Mincy, Joe Murphy, Stacy Palazzolo, all those people have been so supportive of the vision of the STEM Center.
Yes.
Like what you say, like why have a STEM Center? They see that vision and they understand that vision, and they've been the ones supporting us to kind of push that. Like we have to have this in our high schools in this parish and in our junior highs and our elementaries as these kids get older. So the support that they've given us has been astronomical. It's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
To have them, you know, help us out. But, you know, like you said as well, I think it's so important having this program, DSTV specifically, for our high school. My main vision for our program is to showcase our students, our athletes, our teachers, our school, our community. That's the goal. Yeah. It's not just to get clicks online. It is to showcase the great things that are happening in our school and to get the people of the community excited about what's happening at Denham High, whether that's football, volleyball, track, theater, whatever's going on campus, to get the community, one, to know about it. Band. Yeah. One, to know about it. Two, to then get excited. Be like, man, I want to go check out what's going on over at Denham.
Yeah.
Just getting people excited and proud to be in Denham Springs. And, you know, I think it's, you know, we've hit the mark in that area, I think, of just kind of trying to have that be the vision, to showcase what's going on in the school. And to have it not just be me doing it, but to be teaching our students, for them to have the skills and for them to be doing it and then moving on into careers, whether that be college or going straight into a job. And then, you know, locally.
Yeah.
Applying these skills locally within the parish.
Yeah.
To
like here.
Like here. Exactly. Like
I'll
here.
hire you.
Absolutely. And that is one of my visions on the teacher side for me, is equipping these students to be able to go to jobs like this, where they have the editing skills, photography, video skills, technical skills, to have a job and to continue to grow then in those areas. Because, you know, they're not going to be perfect coming out of high school. It's just the reality. You know, they're children.
Yeah.
But to have that passion, the vision, and to have them be growing in those skills, that's what makes me the most proud, is our kids who are going into Southeastern, LSU, other places, to pursue communications, to pursue digital media, or going out right into the job world and applying these skills. Yeah,
and there's so many things you can do with that after you leave school.
Yeah.
And you know, I think of the amount of people that don't know how to edit or don't understand the basics of producing, those sorts of things. These are things you're going to learn. You're going to learn how to run a camera. Maybe you go into photography later on. Maybe it won't be a digital thing, but you're going to learn a camera. You're going to know, you know, the different lenses and the different aspects and how to shoot certain things and how important lighting is. Just something as simple as lighting to a production.
And I think people have this misconception that, digital media jobs are only WAFB, only Local Leaders Podcast, and that's it. Where that is not the reality anymore. Every company, every small business, every institution, if they're not focusing digitally or online, they're lost. Like, they're gone. And so
100% right.
Those jobs are not, it's not just the anchor on TV or, you know, something like that. It's right down the street. It's anywhere in your community where a business is trying to say, how can we make our product visible online in video, photo, or digital form? you are an asset to that company if you are able to do that for them.
Huge. And a lot of them are looking to hire that inside. So someone they already have working for them that has those skills, they love that, or they'll hire someone, that you don't have to necessarily sub that out to them. They'll hire you specifically to be their media consultant or whatever. I mean, there's a huge advantage for that. Visibility, especially with local businesses that aren't on a worldwide scale, they can compete on Facebook just by putting out a quote unquote hype video of their, pick an industry, their welding company. You can do a hype video for a welding company.
Absolutely.
I promise you.
I tell my students, you can do a hype video of anything.
Yes.
If you have the visuals and the sound, you can do a hype video of grass growing if you shoot it right.
That's right. That's exactly right. That'd be a tough one, but I think we can figure it out. Yeah. So there is so many advantages to this program. Now, I guess my first question would be, let's say a student or a parent of a student, he's, in ninth grade or she, and they're interested in their kid possibly becoming a part of DSTV. Kind of tell me how the process works.
So how the process works right now is our curriculum at the STEM Center is with the LSU STEM pathway curriculum. So there's the robotics pathway, engineering, computing, and then there's the digital design pathway. DSTV is technically within that digital pathway, even though it's not a pathway class.
Right.
It's kind of a separate club class type of entity right now as we have it structured. But the classes we have in the digital pathway would be digital storytelling, which is kind of that shallow introductory class. You'll get your video, photography, audio, coding, kind of a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And then after that, there's basic film and TV. Then there's the advanced film and TV class. And then there's DSTV after that. Now, a student doesn't have to go in that order per se.
It helps.
It helps.
Yeah.
The way the DSTV is structured right now to get in is an application process of, hey, outside work that you've done, or if you've been in my classes the last 2 years, like I've seen your work, like I know who you are and what you're able to do. And so that there is that advantage of, hey, if you've been in STEM classes the last couple of years, and in my film classes, I know what you can do.
Yeah.
And so that's right now how we have it structured. Now, as we continue to grow and get bigger, that structure is probably going to get tweaked and changed just to accommodate more interest.
Yeah.
But especially for those younger kids, as they start getting, I know right now in the junior highs, they're trying to institute digital media and video programs at Jubin Park, at Southside, at Denham Springs. That they are getting their feet wet in those areas, and they've already been doing it for the past few years. I know Denham Juniors had a great program for the past couple of years, Southside as well. And so they're at the junior high level. We're trying to kind of all be coordinated to have those kids getting their feet wet, whereas when they're coming into ninth grade, hopping into that first digital storytelling class, most likely, they are kind of already rocking and rolling, and that they kind of have a taste of what is coming. So my vision, like this year, I have 11 kids in DSTV. 10 of them are seniors.
Yeah,
I've had all those 10 the last 3 years, from digital storytelling to basic film, and some of them were in DSTV last year to 10 of them in DSTV this year.
Yeah.
And so they've been through kind of that process of growing. I feel like a coach who had when you have that senior class.
Yeah.
It all comes together. That's what this year has felt like, of that group that's been through. And so for me, it's like I would love to have that every year, of that group of kids who have been through it, where it's not brand new. I think we're going to get there as the years go on, just naturally, because people are going to have more exposure. But my hope is that I can get kids in the program younger and younger. I hope I have freshmen coming in who are like, I can't keep this kid out because he's hungry and he's crushing it and already knows how to do a lot of, that would be ideal down the road. And so, yeah. Yeah.
And so what programs do you work on? Like, is it a Premiere Pro type deal, or what? Adobe products, basically.
So we have
and those Suite. Are tough, folks.
They are tough. They are not easy. They are difficult. But I tell the kid, if you practice with it enough, if you use it enough, it's going to get second nature. It's going to click. But don't go in, thinking it's going to be really easy, because they are tough programs. But we do have Adobe Suite. So mainly what we use is Premiere for our videos, Photoshop for graphics and photos, and then Lightroom for our photographers to
Very good.
tweak those photos a bit. But love Adobe. It's great. It is difficult, but it serves us really
limitless.
well. Limitless. You can literally do anything with it. And again, another great investment that the district has made in providing those licenses, not just for us, but for Live Oak, for other schools to be able to use as well.
100%. I'm glad you brought that up because funding, is something that you naturally think of. Obviously, your equipment is not cheap.
Yeah.
Believe me, I know that firsthand.
It is not.
Nothing that we do is cheap. So in the spirit of that, obviously funding becomes concerned. How do you get funding for things like that?
Yeah, we had a lot of funding on the front end, a lot of investment on the front end 3 years ago for, all right, what cameras do you need, what tripods, what lighting, computers, all that. On the front end, they made that investment going into the STEM Center. I'm not 100% sure where that money was from or how that funding got there. But right now, through the LSU pathway system, through those certifications, they're able to get grants, I believe, the district. Through those seats that we have through the LSU pathway, the district's able to get the funding from those certificates of the students who finish the film class, robotics, computational thinking, coding, all those different classes we have.
Yeah.
I believe that the funding is tied to those seats. And so on a broad level, that's where that can come from. We've started this year with sponsorships for DSTV. That was something I'm a very creative mind. I am not a business mind. And so for me, that was a very difficult hill to climb this fall. It was like, we need money for like program things. Like we have the equipment and the funding, like we're good there, but like, how can we get some extra influx of money for apparel, for if we need to replace a camera, replace different things and just kind of fill gaps. And so I was like, we need to start doing sponsors because Denham Robotics is fantastic with their sponsorships. Like Mr. Island was on it right away with that. So I was like, all right, I need to kind of force my brain, go into business mode. And we were able to have about 6 or 7 sponsorships this year on our posters and on our different graphics, and definitely going to continue that into next year and be a little more streamlined with that process as well. But that's mainly where our funding has come from.
Yeah, and I mean fundraisers. Most of your programs at most high schools, they rely heavily on those. I know that one of my daughters is in the band, and every time I turn around, there's a fundraiser, and obviously, the band doesn't have the I guess advantage of selling like football tickets and things like that, so they have to look at other sources. Jambalaya dinners, you name it. They're out there doing it. And all those programs work extremely hard. And of course, you follow these programs around and you see the time that it's amazing how much time these programs invest into bringing up our young people, and DSTV, no example. I mean, y'all are running around filming it, right?
Yeah, we're running around. We going to away games for football, and so traveling, going to games, going to events. We had some students go to our color guard. Denham color guard won the state title this weekend. Had a student who went with the team to go film and do that, and we're hustling. We're the way that we have it structured is in class time. That's when kind of the editing and the work happens in there.
Yes.
So it's not a ton of after school editing, finalizing time, but going out and getting video and photos a lot. That's all after school stuff for athletics or different things, and so. Definitely running around, and it's been fun. Yeah,
no doubt about it. And I tell people all the time, for me to produce one podcast, it can be 9 to 12 hours of work, behind that, from a pre-meeting to scripting. Scripting takes forever.
Yep.
Because you're, in my case, I'm telling a story, and I want to make sure that story flows, and so scripting is something that takes a while. So there's a lot of time behind it, but. With your program, just 2 years young, and it's just phenomenal. The word's getting out. I know that they have a mobile, an interesting thing, and I'm sure you know about this and saw it, but it's like a mobile billboard that goes around.
Running boards.
Yes, running board. Ain't that something? That thing is cool, man.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
really
so
cool.
I actually had it parked out in front of the stadium, and we were kind of sharing space on that, and so shout out to them people at Running Boards. They do a great job of that. And another part of the digital world that has just come around. Now you got billboards that change, based off of a program, right?
And drive around town.
Yeah,
drive around
town. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
It's just a great thing. But y'all are doing just amazing things. And another question I wanted to ask you is, how common are these type of programs in Louisiana? You mentioned you're from Chicago. You came from kind of a similar program.
Yep.
But here in Louisiana, especially South Louisiana, is a DSTV a common thing?
I would say not so much, but growing.
Yeah.
I think schools are really kind of realizing the benefit of having things like this, not just on the one hand of getting exposure to our school and our programs, but of the education of our kids, that there are jobs to be had and that this is real experience that our students can gain in programs like this. And, I kind of hope that, our success maybe even spurs schools to say, okay, we need something like that.
100%.
We need to invest and do that. And so, I think it's very big up in Chicago. So like the station that I came from, I say station, the program I came from at my high school was massive. It had been around since like the 80s.
Oh,
and
wow.
so it had been a big thing for a long time. A lot of money, a lot of all that stuff. And so for me to even get that, for me to go in as a freshman to my high school and get to do play-by-play for sports and to edit highlights and to be like completely immersed, like hooked me right away.
Sure.
Completely.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the vision that I'm trying to instill down here at DSTV for Denham Springs, is that type of a program. And yeah,
I think it's a great thing.
I think it's so beneficial I personally just think it's a no-brainer. In the world that we live in now, the digital social media world for a school, I think it's massive.
It's huge.
Whether it's just starting out with just graphics and then working your way into video and to photos, whatever it may be. I think more and more schools I've seen, in the schools that I kind of follow and keep up with, kind of doing some of the stuff that we've been doing, or kind of trying to kind of get their feet wet in different areas. And I love it. I think it's fantastic. It's
a great thing. And, it's an attractor. Yeah. So if you're a guy or gal and you're in 8th grade and you're looking for a high school and you really want to do something DSTV related, and there's, Denham Springs High School offers it and another may not, let's say, that could be the difference in where you go to school. Maybe you move to that area just to go there. Maybe you're a great athlete, and it becomes, all of a sudden it's a great fit for everybody. But it's an attractor.
I think it's important to understand too that the DSTV wasn't just started by a bunch of adults who thought, hey, this is a good idea. It was 2 students at Denham High who were already doing this stuff on their own on the side, who were passionate about video production and film, and they had done it for years since they were younger, and they just started doing videos, and the school looked and said, oh wow, like we need to have something for them, because they're doing this stuff and this is maybe a good idea. So I think if you're kind of that kid, you don't wait, do it.
That's right.
And approach your school and see, hey, like, can we get something rolling here? Because I do this, and those 2 students, they were only around for that 1 year, 2019, 2020. They were seniors, but the foundation that they have left behind is going to be uncalculable. How they've inspired and led up to this.
100%. And you're a prime example of that. At one point, you were a freshman in high school. You're editing, play-by-play and all that sort of stuff, doing video, and look at you now. You're teaching this stuff, years later, and who would have thought? But it actually hooks you to the point where you never kind of left it.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing thing. And that, I can't think of a better career. I spend a life doing it. You spend a life doing it.
I love it. I mean, people say, how are you going to another game? Because I love it.
Yeah.
Because it's fun. It's just, I love doing it. And then I love getting to show the kids how to do it and teach and to see them kind of see it click for them, the light bulb go off. That's been one of the coolest things this year, is this group of seniors who have been around for the past couple of years really hitting their stride and doing stuff on their own and just getting it. And that's what it's all about, is teaching them, giving them the opportunity I still have my love for it, so I enjoy getting to kind of do what I do, but seeing them also kind of come alongside and do it, that's the best part.
Yeah, it's just a great program. Can't say enough about it. Can't say enough for the job you're doing.
Thank you.
We'll have to have you on again soon, and we'll when we got a little more time to talk. We've been going 35 minutes.
Wow.
Believe it or not. And but next time you come on, maybe we'll have you on another 6 months or so, and kind of maybe even right before football season.
I'd love that. A little preseason show.
That's right. That's right. A hype video, local leader style. I like it. So we appreciate. Thank you for all the work you've been doing over there.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And for all you viewers and listeners, we want to thank you for sharing, liking, subscribing. If you'd like to check it out, go to DSTV on Facebook. You can give them a like. Give them a like. Follow all the things they're doing. They're very active. They post those hype videos on
Denham Springs TV.
Denham Springs. Yeah, type in Denham Springs, not DS.
It'll take you to some other company.
Yeah, and I think it's a different language.
Yes.
Even. Yeah.
I was telling the kids today on the Instagram, DSTV it's like a media company in like Africa or Asia, somewhere like across the globe, and I get DMs in like other languages that I have to like delete. Like they're at like, can you fix my DSTV? And I was like, what are these people at? I thought it was spam, but I looked, it's a legit company. So don't go look for DSTV, Denham Springs TV, at DS Jackets TV. I don't want you to stumble into some random company.
That's right. Don't give them a like. So check them out there. They post hype videos on there and all those sorts of and all the other things that they're doing that are great for our young people here at Denham Springs High School. So thanks again for coming on. Thank all y'all for listening. And until next time, I'm Jim Chapman reminding you love your community, support local business and your local DSTV. And keep leading. Thank you very much.